We are live. So hello everyone who is watching our YouTube live stream or the recording of this week's growth call. I'm Christoph Atteneder and I'm your host today. As always, I just posted the Google Hangout invitation link in the chat. So it's just over there. So if you want to join us here in the Hangout, just click the link. If you want, feel free to post any questions or comments in the live chat. Yeah, I'm actually very excited to have Alfredo with me today, who is our hi Alfredo, who is our payment method maintainer at Bisq. Together with him and you, we'll discuss payment methods and options for Bisq. Alfredo, maybe could you quickly talk about your background and your interest in Bisq before I start with the call?
Of course, I am a consultant at KPMG, and I'm just having now some time that I'm studying an MBA. I'm specialized in and I actually been involved in with Bitcoins for some time, and I was very interested in being in the business part of Bisq and how also in the growth part. And I'm going to be involved this month with as a payment maintainer, and as long as I can go on.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I'm really happy to have you on board. So it's a big help. Yeah, so I'll start today's call with a short update on the markets on Bisq, and afterwards I will announce a date for the upcoming Bitcoin Canadian dollars liquidity week. And we'll end today's call discussing new payment methods and options for Bisq. So before I start with the market update, some information for everyone who is joining us for the first time and maybe don't know what Bisq is. So Bisq is the only real decentralized fiat cryptocurrency exchange out there. So you can exchange fiat currencies like US dollars with Bitcoin, or you can also exchange cryptocurrencies with other cryptocurrencies. We decided last year to focus for the next couple of months growing especially liquidity on Bisq. So with increasing liquidity, we mean to increase the amount of buy and sell offers available. As today's call is also about the upcoming liquidity week, I want to quickly explain what we mean with liquidity week itself. So it's 1 week where everyone who is participating tries to have one buy and one sell offer available all the time to kickstart and push a market. Everyone who participates not only supports decentralized exchanges, but will also receive 20 BSQ tokens on top. The BSQ token itself has different utilities within the Bisq DAO, which will be released within the next couple of months. So you can vote with the BSQ token, you can transfer it, buy, sell it, and you can pay trading fees with it. If you want to know more about the Bisq DAO, there is our white paper, or you can watch our first tech session. As always, I post links in the description below after the call, and I will also cross-link it at the end of this video. I'm just checking because I got the message that the invite link is broken. So I will quickly repost the invite link in the chat. So this should be fine. And let's do it on Slack, as we also post the links on Slack as well. So hopefully, if this link doesn't work as well, please let me know and I will give it another try. So then I would say let's switch to the slides to get a little market update, what happened on the Bisq network this month so far. Hi, Bernard.
Hello, guys.
So I will start screen sharing now. Perfect. Can you see my slides?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. Okay, then let's go to the first slide. April is already, as you can see in the graph, April is already our second strongest month on Bisq in terms of volume. So we already passed 1.7 million in US dollar volume, and if the trading goes on, we might even get close to 2 million this month. That if you're interested in looking in more detail on all the graphs I'm going to present today, we have live charts and reporting sheets, which I will post also in the description below after the call, where you can dig in way deeper and have a look how we gather this data. So saying, as I'm already, hi Konstantin.
Hi guys.
So we have a big crew to discuss payment methods today. That's great. Thanks everyone for joining the call. So I was in the middle of talking about the current market situation on Bisq, and I will quickly switch to the next slide. So you see a chart showing the total Bitcoin volume of all markets and below the number of trades in all markets. So on desktop, you might be even able to read the legend on the right as well. But for everyone who is watching us on mobile, I will discuss the most important markets anyway. So don't be afraid if you can't read this properly. So the markets in each chart in the legend are ordered by the total volume of Bitcoin or the total number of trades. So on the graph on top, as you can see, there is obviously one market that dwarfs everything else, and it's the Bitcoin Cash Bitcoin market. So the time frame you're seeing is April, 1st of April until today. So the trading started in the beginning of month in this market on Bitcoin Cash with Bitcoin and started to pick up again over the last couple of days. So besides that, the strongest markets this month were so far Bitcoin with euros, Monero with Bitcoin, Bitcoin US dollar, and Bitcoin with British pounds. If you look at the total number of trades itself on the graph below, it looks already a little bit different. So there in this graph, actually the Bitcoin US dollar market is the strongest one before the Bitcoin Euro and the Bitcoin Cash and Monero market. So the amount that is traded obviously differs a lot between those markets. So one reason could be that there are different limits per offer on crypto transfers compared to crypto fiat trades. But this might not be the only reason. So the reason why there are different limits is because of the chargeback risk also. And one thing to point out at that point, there is no trading limit in Bisq. So you can trade as much as you want. We don't limit it but per day, per hour, per month. There is just a limit per offer you're creating to make it as painful as possible for scammers to use Bisq for exploiting, for example, stolen bank accounts or trying out similar different methods. So the limit we oppose, it's called account age witness, is actually a security limit to reduce the amount of damage that can be done per trade if someone tries to fraud other parties. So not only the trading volumes and the number of trades picked up this month, also the offers that are available at the same time reached new heights over the last couple of weeks. I will just show you a screenshot. I think this was done by Felix, and he posted it. It is from 2 days ago, and you see that we have a total number of offers of 174 and more than 50 offers in the euro market. And why it's so outstanding is that actually not long ago, I think it was beginning of the year, when we reached around 100 offers, it was already really a lot. So that's a really big improvement in such a short time. The other thing we see is that every market that we bootstrapped with a liquidity week also kept growing organically months afterwards. So we had 3 liquidity weeks so far. So we had one for euros Bitcoin, one for US dollars with Bitcoin, and the most recent one was British pound with Bitcoin. So I will quickly go through these different markets and show you, just a sec, I will, so now it works. Let's start with the first market, the Bitcoin Euro market. I took as a time frame from the 1st of January this year until yesterday. So here we can see, although the total Bitcoin amount, so it's a green line, went down because of the Bitcoin market price, the total number, which is the blue line of offers, was still increasing and is picking up especially over the last couple of days. So we see now often 50 offers or more in this market, which is a really good indicator that this market is quite mature already. So if you want to buy or sell Bitcoins, you will have a lot of offers you could take right now. Most of the offers that are in this market are, yeah, sorry, Felix? Sorry. So most of the offers we have in this market are with SEPA, but we also see offers with newer payment methods, especially in the last couple of weeks. So we see Money Beam, which is a service by Number 26, or Revolut. So it took this market around, I would say, 4 to 5 months to reach this kind of liquidity. Felix, who just joined us in the call, created a tech tree where he monitors the level of liquidity on each market and each payment method. So for the Euro market, to reach this kind of liquidity, level 3, which means 20 offers on each side, it took around 4 to 5 months, if I'm right, as we had our first liquidity week last December. The next market we had the liquidity week was US dollar with Bitcoins. So in this market, it's compared to Bitcoin Euro the other way around. So the total number of trades picked up a lot. Also, because of the liquidity week we ran in March. So the liquidity week was between 26th of February and 4th of March. So you see a blue spike, especially a big blue spike there. And there was a short dip afterwards, but since then it's picking up more and more, and it looks really promising. In the US dollar Bitcoin market, the most popular payment methods were, before the liquidity week, sell payments. I think it was 90-something%. But since our last release and the liquidity week, we now see more and more trades with Venmo and Cash App especially. And which is also quite surprising for me, at least, that in terms of total trades, this market is #1 in April. So not Bitcoin Cash, not Euro, not Monero. Actually, Bitcoin US dollar trades Bitcoin US dollar is traded mostly in April at the moment. The third market where we had a liquidity week was with Bitcoin and British pounds. So in this market, we ran the liquidity week from the 2nd to 8th of April, I think. Yeah. And also, if you look at the graph, this market sees now more and more spikes of activity. The base layer of trades is slowly increasing, but especially we have a lot of activity on certain days. Here it didn't change so much what people are using to complete trades. So faster payments is still the dominant payment method, but we also see more and more Revolut trades popping up itself. So actually, all the liquidity weeks ran so far were quite successful, especially if you look on following weeks, months afterwards. It was kind of a Kickstarter for each market to attract a lot of people. Of course, we also did marketing activities. We tweeted about it, and it gained enough interest that it had enough buy and sell offers available. So people who just randomly try out Bisq, wanted to give it a try, have offers available to be taken, which is always a little bit easier than just to create a new offer. And we want to do this the same thing now for the Bitcoin Canadian dollar market. We decided last week, based on a poll that we did on Twitter, that we'll run our next liquidity week in Bitcoin Canadian dollar. And we already got some interest of people who want to participate, but we're still looking for people. In best case, we have, let's say, 5 to 6 people to join the liquidity week. And it's really easy. As I said already in the short introduction in the beginning, you just need to have a Canadian bank account available and some Bitcoin participant. And what you have to do is have one buy, one sell offer available for 1 week. So it doesn't matter the amount you want to put in, the price distance, the payment methods. Just have one sell and one buy offer available. If it's taken down, just put up another one. And it's on the one hand side, you will support decentralized exchanges like Bisq, and you will also get 20 BSQ tokens as a reward on top. So as it's always good to have kind of a deadline to focus all efforts, we decided today to run the Bitcoin Canadian dollar liquidity week from the 21st until 7th of May. It is 100% fixed. Some people who went out on Slack today, do you have any, especially Felix or Manfred, is there anything that would prevent us to run the liquidity week at that point? Or shall we delay it?
I don't have any preferences.
Yeah, because I think it should be enough time on the one hand side to get the release 0.70 out of the door, and also I think it should be enough time to get enough participants to join the liquidity week. So then I would say let's keep the date. If there's any concern that pops up later on why we should delay it or maybe do it even earlier, then we just change the date. So I think we can be as flexible as possible in that regards. And if you're watching this and you are from Canada, please contact us on Twitter, Slack, or on GitHub that you're interested, and we'll guide you through the necessary steps to participate. So it's really easy, and I will post all the links below after the call as well. Let me just quickly check the chat because we have a lot of activity there. Okay. Yeah, just keep the questions going. If we don't reply immediately in the end of the call, we'll go through all the questions and try to answer them as good as possible. So I would say enough talking from my side. Let's get to the most interesting part, to the discussion of today's growth call. So we want to talk especially about payment methods. In the new release of Bisq, there will be already a couple of new payment methods like widget pay or support of Argentinian banks. But there's also a lot of activity, especially since Alfredo took over the role of the payment maintainer in Bisq over the last couple of weeks. Alfredo, would you mind letting us know on the current state of, I just copied all the payment methods out of GitHub issues, and I also tried to copy everything that was discussed on Slack and put it here in the slide. So
perfect, thanks. Thanks.
So maybe we can go through, and just one more point to point out. Konstantin from also joined the call today. He is CEO of Paybis, and he posted especially all the payment methods I copied here from the Slack discussion. Most of them were suggestions from his side, so feel free also to join this discussion anytime. Sorry, Alfredo, please continue.
Perfect, yeah. Well, that's it. So from the GitHub issues, there has been a lot of movement. Actually, ATH Mobile, Payeer, ATH Mobile and WebMoney are just issues that are started, but from MoneyGram, American Express, it's already, the description has already been completed, and it's already been, all the criteria has been verified. And actually, MoneyGram, Bernard now here is taking on its implementation. So I think that is actually important because as for the liquidity week that you were talking about of the BTC CAD, I think that MoneyGram is actually quite popular payment method. So it will be really convenient to have already the release for the liquidity week.
One question, Alfredo. Are you also looking for more developers to implement these payment methods, or do you think it's too much if so many people are working on different payment methods?
No, actually, if we can have more help for more developers, it would be really useful. So we can get to get these payment methods implemented for this release. It would be really, really convenient. And
sorry.
And so we actually had a discussion with Konstantin here that about different payment methods that were very popular with Paybis, and actually some of those we already had some of the verification of the criteria. Particularly was Payeer, Advanced Cash, and Kiwi. So these we have some of the requirements already developed, and I actually will be I can take on the completion of all the data required and start the issue, and I actually wanted to verify also with Konstantin, are those the payment methods that would be more convenient?
Alfredo, maybe could you quickly also explain super roughly what are the main requirements for payment methods to be integrated on Bisq?
Of course. In Bisq, well, actually the main criteria, the most important criterion that has to be met is there is no chargeback risk or a very low chargeback risk. So, for example, the payment methods that are really easy to reverse, as PayPal, for example, and there are all others that are impossible, like for example, Western Union. Once you have collected the cash, there is no risk of any type of chargeback. So that would be the main one for security, but we are also looking for some payment methods that have low fees and that are very respectful of the privacy. And within that, it's and that there's reduced fraud risk. And within that, if the payment method takes longer or shorter, normally we can adapt the transaction. So those would be the main criteria.
May I add one criteria? First, thanks a lot for all you guys who are working on the payment methods. I'm really happy to see now that there's some push. And I'm also sorry that I'm not more involved. So I'm completely, my focus is at the moment completely on the DAO, and I would like to stick there because it's a lot of work to do. And I'm happy that the ball is rolling there. Just a quick notice on the criteria. One important criteria is also that the arbitrator in a dispute case is able to get some kind of like proof. Any payment methods which are using normal web pages or where you have like a bank account or so where you're logging in with HTTPS, we can use TLS notary. And yeah, all the other payment methods which are kind of like outside of this classical model, we need to check if there is a way where the arbitrator can get some proof. And when there would be a conflict, and one trader say, I've never received the money, that he can investigate and can get some independent proof.
For example, anything with an open blockchain is easy to verify whether a payment has been made, right, Manfred?
Sorry, with other blockchains, like with altcoins?
Anything with an open blockchain, like an altcoin, is easy to verify that a payment has been made.
Yeah, with normal altcoins, it's super easy. There is no doubt at all. The only exception is Monero, because with their privacy feature, you cannot see the transaction really on the blockchain. But there are also tools that when the sender of the Monero need to use the official Monero wallet, and there are tools where he can verify and can prove that he has sent the money. Also on the altcoin side, we basically have no problems at all with this. But of course, on the fiat side, when the most easy example would be face-to-face trade. There's a lot of requests for supporting this in Bisq. But the main concern is, we couldn't provide any security. I mean, when two people are meeting in a cafe and then afterwards one say, I've never received the Bitcoin or the cash from the other guy, the arbitrator cannot do really much or nothing, basically. So, and with the payment methods, I think for Western Union, for instance, there's this tracking number, but then we need a way after sending the fiat to the other peer to transmit the tracking number. We use a kind of like a low-cost implementation to just use the email. So he has to send by email then this tracking number to the other peer. And
by the way, Manfred, regarding the face-to-face, can't we just have like a signature on paper that when you accept the cash, for example, you exchange, you have to sign something with your private keys and just hand this to the other party.
Yeah, and maybe maybe I can think a little bit closer about this and make a proposal. So it would be fantastic if we find a solution for face-to-face. There are some discussions on GitHub and on the forum. So far, I mean, there have been a few interesting ideas, but so far there was no full concept which makes it feasible. I mean, at the end, people compare it with local Bitcoin, but local Bitcoin has other features, has ID verification, and it has reputation, and both doesn't work, or at least they're not in place. Also, ID verification we don't want, and reputation in a decentralized system is very difficult and maybe impossible. So we don't have.
Wait! It's not impossible. We're already doing something like that with account age.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And also number of trades done and stuff like that could be added to account age. Yeah. It's still anonymous, but it's...
Yeah, actually there might be an interesting idea with when the DAO is out and the BSQ tokens. people could buy reputation by bonding up BSQ, like we do with arbitrators and all the bonded roles in the Bisq network. And also a trader could say, I'm an honest trader, and I guarantee with 10,000 BSQ that I'm not a scammer, I don't do a chargeback. And when he would do a chargeback and it can be clearly proven, then this bond can get confiscated by voting or whatever. But that's just a very rough idea, but that might be an avenue to add some more security, basically by money, that you are locking up money, and but then you're delegating the problem how to prove it when it's not a clear case and so on. So it's not easy, but there might be some ways. But basically, I mean, there's a lot of requests for face-to-face trades basically for payment methods where we're avoiding banks, because in many countries the banks get more and more nasty with Bitcoin, and yeah, they're tracking all kind of non-typical payments, so everything what you're not paying to your electricity provider or to your for your renter. So it's kind of like suspicious already for the banks, and they're trying to connect this with other data, like on the blockchain or whatever, and then ask stupid questions. What's not their business. So we would be happy to find alternative payment methods, but it's very difficult. But Bernard, when you have any idea, maybe I really started on a proposal. I'm unfortunately not very available at the moment for anything else like the DAO, but maybe other people start discussing it and think about it and have more experience also with face-to-face and local Bitcoin and so on. And just another note back to the payment methods, very important this year to get a kind like a little bit of a research for the payment method. I did it in the past to just check in the forums and local Bitcoin and so on, how much reports about scams are there, to get a kind of like a feeling if this payment method is problematic. Also check the statistics on local Bitcoin, how much it was really used, because many payment methods are not much used and or are only used for the Bitcoin buyer, because the seller has the big risk with chargeback, like with PayPal. And that might be good for all the new payment method to get a kind like a good estimation if we are risking too much, because when we would attract, we really want to avoid that we attract chargeback scammers, because they would create a huge damage and we have to remove then the payment method again. And better to be conservative.
Guys, I had a question regarding cash transactions. I mean, right now, the biggest difference comparing to local Bitcoins that you don't allow buyer and seller to communicate. So basically, any payment method where buyer and seller have to communicate right now is not possible. So do you plan to introduce some kind of communication channel?
So it's not impossible like we do with Western Union. When you need to send some data like this tracking number to the other peer, we are requiring an email at the setup, at the account setup, so both traders can communicate by email then. It was a decision to not enable a direct communication between traders because it's a risk also. I mean, then you get the scammers who are trying social engineering tricks and whatever, and trying to make trades outside of Bisq without security. And at the end, the people who get scammed always blame Bisq, even if it's not our fault. So I was conservative with this. There's also always requests for this feature, and maybe we will add it someday. At the moment, we don't have the resources to implement it. But it's not completely, it might be, I'm open to implement this in future, that optionally the traders can communicate. Like we have this internal chat system like we use in arbitration, so everything is over Tor and encrypted. And we basically could extend this to enable it for normal users as well. Also in the normal use case, not only in the dispute case. But I think at the moment for any payment method which requires it, it can be done by email like we did it with Western Union. That's the easiest and cheapest way. And
Have you thought enabling this for bank transfers?
Why it's needed for bank transfer? I mean, you get the message that the Bitcoin buyer has sent fiat, and then you know usually how long it takes on your bank to receive the money. And what would be the extra data? I mean, when you're setting up your account, all the required data should be defined. there shouldn't be, and we didn't have any problems in the past, as far as I remember.
Yeah, I have been discussing this with the other guys, and I can explain briefly. I mean, we are a legal entity, right? So in order for us to keep sending and receiving bank transfers to the same person, for example, at some point of time, we would have to perform QIC. So it means that if a buyer sends us fiat above certain limit, or we send bank transfers to the same person above certain limit, we would be required to QIC the customer. Otherwise, we would not be able to continue working with that customer. So I was thinking for us as a company, in order to be able to provide a good number of offers in the banking sector for buy and sell, we would need to be able to monitor the volumes per customer and basically at some point of time understand when we need to do KYC and somehow invite the customer to do it. So this is one of the reasons why I see email would help, because we can see internally that, okay, this customer is reaching the threshold. We can communicate to him by email that if we want to continue trading via Bisq, he would have to visit our website or do KYC via email, something like that.
There is one feature which is not well known, is that you can block another node by, also the identity in Bisq is mainly their onion address. And
Manfred, Chris already mentioned this in the conversation we'd had earlier. I actually think rather than blocking addresses you no longer want to trade anymore with, what would be really useful for Konstantin is the opposite: whitelist addresses.
Yeah, just to avoid that you're getting in this trouble zone. You can basically, when you see that there's one guy who has traded too much with you, you can block him basically. But of course, to enable, I think that requires a little bit more discussion. We don't want to add too much mandatory fields in the accounts because it's always exposing more privacy like people want to. And when 99% of the users don't need the email when they're setting up a SEPA account, and only those who will trade with your company then, it's not very clear why they need to, then people will ask all the time why I need an email address and I don't want to do this and so on. So maybe it will require some extra feature to maybe even it will require more discussion and more thoughts, I think.
Yeah, because the thing you mentioned with the Bisq tokens and staking some amount of tokens in order to show others that you're a verified and trusted seller, this could be something to think into this direction. Like if a legal entity like our company wants to trade on Bisq, they can buy some stake of Bisq tokens and they can get extra functionality in Bisq, that they have extra fields, or the customers, when they will see the offer, they see that this is offer not from an individual trader but from institutional trader, and there will be extra fields, extra entries and stuff like that.
There, actually, that might be the easiest way, that basically you are marking your offer when a user is taking it, they need to contact you so that you're exchanging their contact information by email or whatever.
It has, Manfred, it has to be very clearly labeled beforehand. We cannot have a situation in which a trade is entered into, an offer is accepted, and then suddenly new conditions appear, such as, oh, no, with me you have to do KYC. Well, you have to tell people they're going to do KYC beforehand. It's got to be a special category of trades that's set apart from the others.
Basically, I mean, to mark basically an offer, this offer will require the KYC, or at least when you're over a certain limit. And when you take such an offer, you need to provide your email address, but it will require some work under, you need to add this data in a certain process. It's not prevalent to sync the whole process, sync through the whole process and so on. So it's not a trivial change which can be done in a few days or so.
An easy roundabout way of doing it is just use a payment method like Revolut, which already gives you an email or a phone number. You can do first contact with the users through this, and hey, if it's not ready to provide what you need, you can always do later trades directly with them. But it's not the ideal, but I mean, use Bisq.
It's still, I assume that most of our users are not willing to do this, so we need to prevent that somebody's taking this offer and then in the process he get required. But I think, I mean, that usually it's not for the first trades, it's when you reach a certain limit. So after the 10th trades, and in the meantime, you can communicate. And when you see a user is reaching a certain limit, you can contact him, you can tell him, hey, look, don't take any offer from us anymore. The other user can mark this user with the icon, or so you can write some comments in there as well. So with these avatar icons in their offer book, so any user can mark basically your company and can see, okay, those are offers from the company I cannot take when I don't want to make KYC. So I think that may be a good enough solution for short term, and long term we need to think probably which features to add and how we can change this. It's not very trivial to change anything because it's a peer-to-peer network which relies on consistency and consensus. So you cannot just change an offer because then some other users who have not upgraded to the newest version will reject this offer because they think it's invalid and so on.
Yeah. On the other hand, Manfred, it is an open source project. So, you know, if someone else wants to do the work to include something, it's very likely that the pull request will be merged.
Sure,
right?
yeah, fantastic. And we need this because I'm not available for any other work at the moment. I need to get the DAO complete, and so any developer is very welcome.
Yeah. Regarding the other payment methods that were discussed in Slack, is there anything that we and also on the ones on the GitHub issues, are there a couple of them we want to have in the next release, or is it already too close to get them included? What's your take on that?
Maybe I add some extra requirements, or not requirement, but for developers who are implementing a payment method, you always have to test very well the combination. For instance, with Western Union, we had a problem. It was then with cash deposit, some conflict or whatever. And then when you had set up a Western Union account, you could see cash deposit offers as acceptable, but that was a bug basically in the code. So when we have this filter. So when you have not set up a MoneyGram account and you will see then a MoneyGram offer, it will be grayed out, and so you cannot take it. You need to first set up a MoneyGram account, and this verification, that's part of this domain of the offers, where the offers are displayed. And with new payment methods, we always have to test carefully that it works with the existing and doesn't break anything and so on. And basically to do a full trade with a new method and try all the use cases, because it's quite a few details where some bugs could happen.
One quick question. I just want to confirm, WeChat is being added as a payment method in the next release, right?
Yeah, it's already in there.
That's in.
So which is in, also WeChat is new, and the change with the Argentinian banks is included already. I'm not sure if we have integrated any other payment methods since the last release.
I don't.
Bernard, you were working on the MoneyGram, right?
He might be.
I think that Bernard was actually working on implementing the MoneyGram payment method.
Yeah, I think MoneyGram would be good, and I think it's basically a copy of Western Union as far as I understood.
Then it's okay. Yeah, regarding the release, actually the only thing that is missing is that we do the testing phase, document it, and do the release phase this time also with documentation, so that everyone is able to reproduce it. And maybe we do it already next week, the release. But yeah, if we can finish off a couple of payment methods until we start with the testing, then we can integrate a couple of them. Or otherwise, we make like we did it in with the last releases, 2 weeks later or a month later, make a release that just adds lots of payment methods.
Yeah, I also would not like to postpone too much this release. Already quite a long break since the last release, and has a lot of very important new features, especially the editing of offers, which was requested a lot from people, and especially from professional traders. They want to edit an offer without losing the trading fee. I think that's really a very important feature, and yeah, better to get this out as soon as possible and make a second release when there is some important payment methods added.
I just wanted to say from my side that advanced cash and ePay are very similar to Perfect Money. These are two irreversible payment methods where you just set up your account and yeah, one person sends to another person, basically.
Okay.
I don't know if it can help you to include it in the next release.
Yeah, if any developer like Bernard is working on this, I think it's basically not really a lot of work, because when I do it, it's usually a few hours or whatever, and testing and so on. A new developer who has to get familiar with the code needs more, but it's not super complex when there is nothing special on the payment method. When it's comparable with one what we have already, I usually start to copying the one what I have. When it's similar to OKPay, I copy this, do everything similar, and it's in a few hours it's done basically.
Yeah, I think also.
So I will.
Sorry, Bernard?
I will develop all the part of the requirements for the part for advanced cash then that we have, and I will try to do also ePay, and I can start with the issues and talk with developers, and perhaps Bernard can also help with that to try to get it on time.
Yeah, great thanks, because that was actually always the biggest blocker to really investigate the payment method, to know exactly the data fields and especially the risks and all this. And yeah, that's really great that you're doing this now. Thanks.
Yeah, then let's do it that way, Manfred. As soon as we know when we want to do the testing, we'll post it in the Slack channel, and so that we have a kind of a deadline until all the PRs needs to be merged, and yeah, whatever gets in. And for every other payment method, we just make an 0.7.1 release soon.
I've got a question, Manfred. Is it safe if I have code on a branch and test the new payment method on mainnet? How will it appear to other users?
I think it doesn't cause any problems. They just see it and they're not processing it. But yeah, it shouldn't, because also with updates, the old users don't know the payment methods. And I'm not sure if they get it displayed from the text and so, are actually a good question. But you can also test it easily on RegTest, that you have an old version which from the latest release, and then make your new version and connect them both on the same network and make a new offer. And I think now we lost a few people. Hello?
Yeah, we lost.
Yeah, we lost a couple of, but we're reconnecting, I don't know.
Google turned the plug. Bernard, are you here again? Maybe I repeat. Bernard?
Yeah, I'm here again, but I've heard everything.
I think the easiest just to test it out with RegTest with an old version, and that's important also with such changes to always make tests with compatibility with old versions to see if anything is broken. But I'm pretty sure there are no issues, because we had this many times to add a new method, and I'm not aware of any problem with backward compatibility there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, perfect.
Better to start just with RegTest and do everything when it's basically ready for merge, just at the very end, maybe make a mainnet transaction. But I think I'm not aware that there should be any issues when it works on RegTest. I think I wouldn't have any idea what could break on mainnet.
Besides these payment methods, I think there was also a discussion on Slack to integrate payment methods that have some chargeback risk, which could be then just labeled, especially that it's kind of a not so trusted payment method. I think, Konstantin, am I right that you suggested something like that on Slack?
Well, I suggested payment methods like Amazon gift cards and prepaid Visa Master cards, as long as Yandex and Kiwi. But for these payment methods, for example, for Yandex and Kiwi, the risk of chargeback is probably same as for Payeer and same as for American Express or for Revolut. So normal people don't do chargebacks, only scammers do, right? So the risk is pretty low still. But with Amazon and Visa MasterCards, the problem is that I will explain how Amazon gift cards work. I mean, the person would buy a gift card, scratch off the code, and then he has to give the code to another person. So, for example, if customer gives the code to us, we check the code and we leave the card for us, and then we release the Bitcoins or close the trade. The problem is that after we close the trade, the customer is able to redeem the code he gave to us, because we don't redeem it right away. We keep the card and then we resell it later on. So in these situations, we know how to work with such payment methods. But if other people will try to do the same and they will want to sell Bitcoin and to get Amazon gift card and redeem it to their Amazon account, then it's kind of pretty safe because they redeem it right away. If code works, everything fine. The only problem is if code doesn't work. If you're giving an Amazon code in the trade which doesn't work, then you need to be able to open a dispute or communicate with the customer right away and not wait for like a day or two. So this is the problem. And this is where I also mentioned the point that there should be some kind of channel how buyer can send the gift card code to the seller.
As I'm not really familiar with this, but thanks for this explanation. But that doesn't sound like a big problem. We can show a pop-up where to say it's only safe when you're redeeming immediately. Otherwise, you have a big chargeback risk and it's on your own risk.
Yeah.
I think that to limit it basically to this use case should be good enough, because otherwise, yeah, we don't have. I mean, yeah, and with credit cards, I'm not sure if you mentioned Visa, MasterCard. There are gift cards as well, so they're not normal credit cards.
Yes, Visa, MasterCard, gift card. So usually, what I mean, if person hands over this gift card information to another person, then you assume that the person who receives this information, he would go and use the card to buy something, right? If it's a normal physical residential customer or individual. But for us as a company, we would just charge it immediately. If we get the MasterCard details, like and there is $25, we charge the card $25. If charge is successful, we release the Bitcoins, we close the trade, and then we take basically responsibility for any possible chargeback in future.
Yeah. Again, I think with email, the people can communicate and send this. I mean, as long as the arbitrator can get some proof when the sender has redeemed it himself, that it's somehow provable. I think that's important, but probably that should work. Probably over Amazon then or whatever. I don't know.
There are some tricks.
Yeah. With payment methods which like PayPal or credit cards, which really have high chargeback risk, I'm opposed to it. Because even if we tell the users 10 times it's on their own risk, they get scammed at the end, and then they create negative PR for Bisq and say Bisq is shitty because got scammed there, even if it was clearly their own fault. And I think we're just attracting the wrong people then. And I mean, I think there's nobody in the world who has only PayPal and cannot use any other payment method. And then they should set up a better payment method. And also, I'm against this I think it causes more troubles and more problems and more bad PR for Bisq, like it brings us a new volume or whatever. And the other thing is, I mean, our main protection, I mean, all this, nearly all payment methods have some sort of chargeback risk. And as Christoph said earlier, our main protection is the low trading volume, trading amount, what you can do in one trade. So a scammer who want to to cash out a stolen bank account with $10,000, he has to do a lot of trades. He cannot do it immediately because he needs to get his account age or witness or to have the full trade limit before he has only a few $100s. And even then, when he would scam, it would be distributed to many trades. Of course, the bad thing is that many victims would be there, but there would be not one victim with $10,000, but there would be maybe then several victims with a few $100s, which is not so terrible bad, probably like when you get scammed by $10,000. And at the end, hopefully that's good enough for now. But another thing is also that we are trying to be very restrictive and conservative with the payment method and just not add the payment method which have too much risk there.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned only this prepaid Visa, MasterCard gift cards, because there the point is that I mean, if you charge the card, the person who gave the card to another person, he has, it's difficult for him to do this chargeback, because on every gift card it says that you're responsible for the gift card, and the gift card provider is not responsible if the gift card was used in the wrong way or the information was placed somewhere in a not secure manner. So our experience is that with these prepaid gift cards, the problems with chargebacks are much less comparing to normal debit and credit cards. And also among scammers, it's kind of popular to get the individual debit and credit card information from people. But these prepaid cards, they are really, you have to go to the shop, you have to buy it with cash, and you have to activate it in the shop in order to be active, and in order that somebody can use it. So it's the same as with Amazon gift cards. So that's why we're suggesting right now only these two payment methods and not the classical debit credit card.
Yeah.
And this kind of gift cards, is this a big volume on Paybis, or is this kind of a niche people are using as a payment method?
It is very popular in the United States, and right now we only work with the United States market with the gift cards, because it's also good for privacy, right? Because person can go to the shop like 7-Eleven or any other like Walmart, buy a $50 or $100 gift card, and usually these are the amounts that we talk about, and pay for it with cash and go and buy Bitcoin for it. So basically, in all these steps, he can stay anonymous, and the gift cards, usually these non-reloadable gift cards, you don't have to register it to your personal name before you can use it. There are some gift cards like reloadable gift cards which require you to register it to your personal name before you can use it, but these non-reloadable gift cards, they are fully anonymous.
Okay, yeah, that sounds quite interesting also for Bisq. I said, I mean, when somebody's checking out all the details and how we can implement it to maybe make it especially secure from the arbitration side, that the arbitrator can get a clear view of what happened, and I think that would be good to add.
Perfect. And Konstantin, which are the payment methods of which we have talked now that you have more volume at Paybis?
More volume right now is on advanced cash from all these which are mentioned here. This is the most popular. Then I would say that Yandex and Kiwi are very popular in Russia. I mean, I think Kiwi is number 1, Yandex is number 2. You can also look, for your understanding, at bestchange.ru or bestchange.com. I will send you a link later in Slack. It will give you a good indication of popularity of each payment method. But then I would say that Amazon.com and prepaid Visa cards, they are really popular, but just in the United States. For Canada, for example, you were previously talking about Liquidity Week in Canada. In Canada, they also have Amazon cards and prepaid Visa MasterCards. So this could be interesting for people as well in Canada.
It is also popular in Canada.
Yes, I'm saying that Amazon gift cards and prepaid gift cards could be popular in Canada because we had quite a lot of customers from Canada as well in this area.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks. Okay, so do you have any more discussion regarding payment methods?
From my side, that's all. I will stop the presentation mode. Yeah, I was just looking at the chat regarding questions. So one question was how, as a seller, how you can get the dollars into your bank account if the buyer is using so different payment methods. So I just wrote that if you are selling, let's say, Bitcoins, and you have to define with sell. So if you want to sell it over Revolut, if you want to sell it via Sell, and then you have to create a payment account for these payment methods within Bisq, and only people who have this payment method configured as well can purchase your Bitcoin or cryptocurrency amount. And there was also another question, if we can lower the seller fee. I was just replying that actually the seller fee is not normally the biggest part of the fee, but it's more the mining fee. But I guess it's quite complicated to reduce the amount of a transaction to get down the mining fee. Manfred, do you have an idea how this could be done, or are we already at the minimum of transaction that are necessary?
Also I mean, Bisq uses 4 transactions all in all, a Bisq trade. There are 2 trade fee transactions for the buyer and for the seller, or for the maker and for the taker. And then there is the multi-sig deposit transaction where the money goes into the multi-sig from both. And then there is the payout transaction. So the deposit and the payout cannot be changed. I mean, as long as we are doing an on-chain trade. The trade fee transaction, maybe there are some ideas how to remove them in future when the Bitcoin transaction fees become again very high, like they've been a few months ago. We will have some pressure to improve this. It's not trivial at all and will require a new version of Bisq in a way, so it will be a hard fork, and probably better invested is to go in direction of Lightning, that we are getting off-chain anyway, but that's another even much bigger story, and that will take probably a year in development effort and will be a different version of Bisq. So it's nothing in the short term where we are planning to work on and what we can work on. The trading fee are already pretty low, and I mean the trading fee will be a part of the DAO. Also, they will be basically the revenue source for the DAO. The DAO will pay the people who are working on Bisq. So it's at the end, when you're a trader and you cannot make money by trading, you're doing something wrong and you will not use Bisq on the long term. When you make money, you're gaining already from Bisq. You're profiting from that, what other people have built for you. When you're working on Bisq, yeah, with the DAO, you will have then a kind of like an income. So it's an ecosystem what we are building, and reducing or limiting, lowering the trading fee will weaken the ecosystem. And I think that's not the right strategy. And I think there are many people who are doing fantastic work there, and it's just fair that they get some money at some point. At the moment, it's still nearly nothing, but yeah, and at the moment the trading fees goes to the arbitrator. Not the fun work at all. You have to be online every day, and yeah, I mean, who should help you when they don't earn money? And there are not so many altruistic people out in the world who are working completely for free forever, and it's just the reality what we're living in. So also the Bisq developers have to pay their bills.
Yeah, makes sense. Regarding the payment methods, because the Hunter was asking regarding the Amazon gift card route, I'm not sure if there's already a GitHub issue created, but in general, if you are interested in looking into one of the payment methods that were pointed out today, I think the best way be to join us in Slack. There is a payment method channel, and talk to Alfredo, and he will guide you how to create the GitHub issue and provide all the information that is necessary to do the implementation, or you just go directly into the repository and just copy and paste of an existing payment method and try to come up with a solution. But I guess Alfredo is quite happy to to support you if you want to contribute to Bisq. There's one more question. Yeah, it's cool.
Of course, anything regarding payment methods, I will be welcome to help. And regarding the fees that that you were talking before, I would also like to point out that when you are trading with normal amounts, not very small amounts, trading fees are anyway very, very, very small.
Yeah. One more question from Bitcoin Africa regarding South Africa. I guess it's if you're in Bisq for your currency, actually for most of the countries and currencies, you can start creating offers anytime. For South Africa, I think there were already some trades. So if you don't have any offer there to be taken, just create a new offer and make a market. Yeah, it just needs two people, one who creates the offer and the other one who takes the offer. So it's as we are not a big VC funded company, it's all community driven. So if you want to push your local market, try to talk to your friends, local community meetups, and kickstart their market. We are happy to help you with, for example, we do it. The best case scenario is that we run a couple of liquidity weeks in parallel on different markets, but we just don't have the resources to do it on our own. We just, we need the support of you guys to support your local market yourself as well.
Of course, if you are doing anything valuable for Bisq, like presenting Bisq at a local meetup and so, it's all subject for compensation request. It's not very difficult to just file a GitHub issue for a compensation. You're documenting a little bit what you have done, and you will get some BSQ tokens. There are probably some links below the video about the DAO and how this works, and be sure to understand it really, that you know what you're doing.
Yeah, thanks, Manfred, for pointing this out. So there are lots of roles available to be taken at the moment. They are taken by a couple of contributors, but some roles need more people. The role that Manfred was referring to, I think it's called ambassador. So if you present at the local Bitcoin meeting, you will get compensated, because everybody who is contributing to the Bisq network in a meaningful way has the potential to get compensated. And just talk to us up front, and we try to guide you through. I will just see. There's another question from T Hunter. Yeah. So if something wasn't 100% clear today in the call, feel free to contact us on Slack or on Twitter or on GitHub. We are quite active on different time zones, and we'll try to guide you through. So no worries. It's not so complicated in the end. Are there any other questions from everyone who is in the Google Hangout or who is watching us live? If not, then thanks everyone for joining the call. Especially thanks Alfredo and Konstantin for joining us and talking with us regarding the payment methods. Yeah, there's just one more point, because Tianta was asking. I will post the Slack invite in the description below right after the call. So just give me 5 minutes and I will update the description right away. Okay, then see you soon. Maybe we'll even be able to release 0.70 before the next growth call. Fingers crossed here. Okay, talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.